Okay, so I ordered this Nicktane fuel filter for the 2011 Jetta TDI. This cat filter will filter down to 2 microns, and I don't remember what the factory fuel filter is. I think it's like 7 or 10 or something like that. So all this is going to replace this. I don't know. My first impression is that I'm a little upset that the company didn't send directions, and they say look at the website, and the only directions you can find is for a Duramax. So that looks pretty awesome, but the pictures on their website look like it's pretty straightforward, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so I pulled the old filter housing out. I also marked these fuel lines. There's 4 of them, and I got a diagram here they'll go over when we hook it all up. But getting the fuel filter housing out was easy. There was 1, 2, 3 bolts that came out, and then there was a little clip around this hose here that I just pulled off and came right out. So now we need to figure out how to mount this new bracket on there, and we don't know how to do that because they didn't give us directions, so we'll figure it out. Alright, so I think I figured this thing out. They give you this little bracket, and it mounts on these 2 points that the original bracket mounted on, and then they give you hose clamps to clamp the fuel filter to that bracket. So I don't know, it seems a little wonky, but I guess the kit's only $100, and we'll get clean fuel to the engine now. This is the final installation of this Nicktane fuel filter conversion. So this line comes from the fuel tank. This line goes to the high pressure pump. This is the return line, and then this line goes back to the fuel tank. And these all used to be routed through the factory housing. So anyway, I had to figure this out, and luckily I found a diagram from myturbodiesel.com, because it didn't come with directions. The directions that came with this kit were for a Chevy Duramax. This thing gets mounted in here on this bracket that uses the factory locations of where the factory housing sat, and then they made this really awesome billeted filter head. But how this attaches to the bracket is with some hose clamps around the cat fuel filter, which I think is pretty wonky. And then this didn't really seem to fit right, so these return lines. So I think I'm gonna just go buy some hose and just route it direct and take this big loop out. I don't know. Overall, I'm gonna give this kit a C-. I think they could have done a lot better job with how they mounted it. The whole using hose clamps thing seems really wonky. You know, for guys that can machine this really awesome filter head, I think that they could have machined a really awesome bracket too. And the kit was only $100, but I mean, I would have happily paid a lot more to have a little bit better mounting system. So we'll see how it holds up. So the routing of the factory lines, and this is looking at it as how it was in the car, is this line came from the fuel tank. This line went to the fuel tank. This line went to the high pressure pump. And this line was the return from the engine. So how this kit works is that this is your from the fuel tank, and this is to the high pressure pump, and then they just bridge the return from the engine back to the return to the fuel tank. And that works just fine, but there's 4 hoses here. I wasn't really sure what the layout of them was and how Volkswagen was doing it. So if I didn't have this diagram from myturbodiesel.com, it would have been quite a bit more challenging. So that helped out a lot. I also wanted to just make a note that the fuel filters are a lot cheaper if you buy them from the Caterpillar dealer locally. This filter is the same filter that I use on my Dodge Cummins, and I think it was about $25 from Nicktane. It's like $37 if you buy it from Sinister, and if you just go down to your cat dealer, it's $15. Also, I did look up the specifications. This filter, like I said before, is 2 microns, and the factory filter is 10 microns. And Nicktane does have a really good article that talks about the fuel filter ratings and what they do to your engine. My only concern is, how is it going to perform in the winter? Is this filter going to pack full of wax when the fuel gels, since there's no heating element? But we'll cross that bridge when it comes.